up until now I've made a lot of videos showing you how to make dresses and slippers and other things like that, but I thought I would make a video just for beginners so they can get started with some of my easy projects that you'll find on my YouTube channel. We are going to start with just some light baby weight yarn. The first thing I have to say is don't buy the Red Heart yarn. It's itchy and scratchy and it's heavy and it's just not a good yarn and it doesn't wash up well. This is Karen Baby Soft yarn. That's my favorite brand. It's just an acrylic, but it's really soft, and when you wear it, it just feels really nice. My favorite size hook to use is a G or an H. This is an H today. When you're starting out, it's better to use a bigger hook so that you can get your yarn pulled through your holes well. So I'm going to start off with teaching you how to do a single crochet. Every project you do will start with a chain. And so this is how you start your chain. You start with a regular slip knot. I've seen lots of weird ways of how to make slip knots on the internet, and I never knew there were so many weird ways. But this is such an easy way. You just cross it over the top like this, make a little loop, and stick it through the back like this. And that's your slip knot. Let's try that one more time. Cross it in the front, make a little loop, stick it up through the back, and pull. And then let's look at that one more time. Just cross it in front, stick a piece of yarn up through the back, and pull. Okay, put your hook in. Make sure that your working side of your yarn is in front like this. And there are also lots of weird ways to hold your yarn. Lots of people hold it up out like this, but that really wastes energy. I hold my yarn very close to my hand, and this is what I call the working platform of your finger. And this is where you'll be able to do all your work like this. So just hold it like this. And I'm sorry, I'm right-handed, so those of you who are left-handed, I don't know how you'd hold it, because left-handers work from left to right instead of right to left. Okay, so from now on, whenever I say yarn over, this is what you're going to do. You're going to take your hook, put it underneath your yarn. That's called a yarn over. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Okay, so that was easy. That's just called a yarn over. You're putting the yarn over your hook. Pull it through. And as you pull it through, turn your hook upside down so that it catches. And it pulls right through. This is called a chain. Every single crochet project you do is going to start with a chain. And you're not going to want to do your chains too tight. Just keep it nice and loose. So again, hold your yarn like this. And just keep pulling through until you have the right amount of chains for your project. There's a lot of easy projects on YouTube, and I'm going to start putting some on my channel as well, just for beginners. So yarn over, hold it like this, yarn over, turn your hook upside down, and pull it through. Yarn over, pull it through. Yarn over, pull it through. And again, if you notice that your chain is going too tight, just undo it and start over, because the chain is where you're going to be putting your hook through. So you want those chains big enough to put your hook through. So yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, pull it through. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you how to do a single crochet. This first row is the hardest. Once you get 2 or 3 or 4 rows, it goes a lot faster. So you always skip this first stitch. Well, not always, but most of the time you skip this first stitch so that it makes a nice square edge. So you're not going to put your hook through this hole. You're going to put your hook through this hole. Can you see that okay? This is the first stitch right there. And this is the second, so you're going to be going right here through this second stitch. And you're going to be doing a yarn over. See, that piece of yarn is over your hook. You turn your hook upside down and pull it through your chain so that you have 2 loops on your chain. Yarn over again so that you have 3 loops on your crochet hook. Turn your hook upside down and pull through. The most important thing, I think, is the way you hold it. Holding it right gives you a proper foundation to hold it, your yarn over yarn. So you yarn over, put it through your chain, pull up a loop so that you have 3. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing a double crochet. I got ahead of myself. I'm going to teach you how to do that too. This is single crochet. Okay, you pull up a loop so that you have 2. Yarn over and pull it through. I'm going to do several stitches like this, and you can just crochet along with me. Make sure that you're holding your yarn like this and that you're making nice loose stitches. So put your hook through your chain, pull up a loop so that you have 2, yarn over, pull through. Put your hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. I'm just going to do several, and you can follow along with me. Okay, so put your hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over so that you have 3 loops on your hook, pull through, put your hook through your chain, pull through a loop so that you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over so that you have 3 loops on your hook, and then pull through the 2 loops so that you have 1 loop left. So each stitch is the process of going up to 3 loops and then going back down to 1. So 2, 3 loops, down to 1. And I'm just going to do single crochets to the end of this row. Alright, on this second row, I'm going to teach you how to do double crochet. Okay, so that's a row of single crochet. So whenever you turn a project around, you usually always chain at the end to make it square. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, and then you're going to turn your work so that you're having it face the right way again. Okay, for a double crochet, you're going to be doing a series of 4 loops on your hook and then back down to 1. So you start with the yarn over and you skip this very first stitch right here and you go into this one. And when you put your hook through, you're going to want to put your hook through the top 2 pieces of yarn like this. See how there's a braid? It looks like a braid on the top. Make sure your hook goes through those top 2. If you only go through 1, it will make a line on the back of your work, which is fine if that's what you want. But most all works have that you go through both like that. Okay, so you've yarned over, you've put your hook through, and then you pull up a loop. Yarn over, and then this is as many loops as you're going to have on here for a double crochet. It's 4. And you only ever pull through 2 loops at a time when you're crocheting. I don't know hardly of any, there's a few rare stitches that you pull through more, but you only ever pull through 2. So you pull through 2, and you have 2 on here, so you have to yarn over to get rid of those last 2 loops, because you only pull through 2 at a time. So yarn over, put your hook in through your work, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, I'm going to do a couple stitches. You can just follow along with me. Okay, so yarn over, go through your work, pull up a loop. Now you've got 3. You know you need one more because you have to go up to 4 loops on your hook with a double crochet. So pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And do double crochets to the, I'm going to do double crochets to the end of this row, and then I will turn it and show you how to do treble crochets. Alright, when you're turning a work after you've done double crochets makes slight holes in it like that, especially if you're using a big hook like we are. Okay, whenever you turn your work after a double crochet, you're going to want to chain. Remember the first chain we made? You just yarn over and pull it through. Chain 2 because treble crochets are higher or longer and you need a longer stitch at the end. So turn your work. Treble crochets, you work up to 5 loops on your hook. So it's a process of putting 5 on and taking off 2 at a time. Okay, so what we do is we yarn over twice. So we start with 3 loops on our hook. We skip this first stitch right here and we go into this second one right here. So we go into there. Again, you're going under the top 2 loops of yarn right there, and you pull up a loop. Okay, so we've got 4. We know that a treble crochet goes up to 5, so we have to put on 1 more loop. Okay, so we've got 5. Now we pull through 2 at a time. You yarn over. You always yarn over to pull off another 2. Yarn over and yarn over, and it makes a really nice long stitch. Okay, so we start with 2 yarn overs. We go through, pull up a loop, yarn over so that we're up to 5. You want to have 5 loops on your hook. Okay, so pull through 2, and you want to pull the yarn through with your hook facing downward like this. And if your stitches are nice and loose, you shouldn't have a problem with just pulling it through. If you're having a problem pulling your hook through, make your stitches looser. Okay, so you start with 2 yarn overs on your hook. Go through the stitch, pull up a loop. Now there's only 4, so you know you need 1 more to go up. Now you have 5 loops on your hook. Okay, so you pull through 2 at a time. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And it makes this really long, nice stitch. Okay. So yarn over twice, go through your work, pull up a loop, yarn over so that you have 5 loops on your hook. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Start with 2 yarn overs. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over twice. If you're having a problem keeping these loops on your hook, just remember that you've got to keep this piece of yarn tight in between your fingers like this, so that you have a little bit of resistance keeping your loops on. Okay? So you've got 2 loops on. go through your work, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops. Yarn over, so you have 5 loops. Take that loop and pull through 2. Yarn over, take that loop and pull through 2. Yarn over, take that loop and pull through 2. Okay, I'll do it one more time and you could just watch me. Start with 2 yarn overs, holding your yarn tightly so the loops stay on your crochet hook. Pull up a loop, so you have 4 loops. Yarn over. Okay, I'm going to do treble crochets to the end, and on the next row I will teach you how to do the basic shell stitch. This is what a basic shell stitch looks like. It's a series of double crochets all taken into one stitch, and then it ends with a single crochet or a slip stitch in the middle so that it makes this fan shape. And you always do a fan, well I shouldn't say always, but most often you do a number that you can take the middle one out of, like 5 or 7. Even numbers don't work as well. So this one you would do the stitch in the middle, 3rd one right there. So I did 5, and then I did a single crochet. So what we're going to do, so I'll show you how to do it. You skip 1 after your single crochet, and you take 5 double crochets into one stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it makes the fan shape when you put it all in one stitch. And then you skip this stitch right here, and you take a single crochet into the next stitch, like that. So you've got 5, skip 1, single crochet. And you're skipping before and after the single crochet. Turning for a fan is hard. I like to take an extra single crochet right here at the end, and then chain 2, yarn over. What you're going to do is you're going to go into the middle stitch of your previous fan and do a double crochet like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is called a graduated fan pattern, where the fan is on top of the fan. If you would like to, you can alternate it. A lot of projects do that. And for this one, you put your single crochet in the middle of your fan, like that. And then you take your fan into the single crochet at the last row. So you would put 5 right into your single crochet of your last row. 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's really pretty because then you have alternating shells going across. So in the middle of your fan of your previous row, you would put a single crochet. And then you'd yarn over, and you'd go to your single crochet from the previous row, and then that's where you would take your 5 double crochets. this is what your shell stitch looks like if you've been alternating. And this stitch is really pretty for a blanket or a scarf or even a dress if you did it upside down so the shells hang this way. Well, you would work on it this way and then it would turn upside down when you're done. I've done a dress like that and it's very pretty. This next section I'm going to teach you how to do what's called a moss stitch. It's a very pretty stitch that you can use for a blanket or a scarf or just anything because it has a really pretty textured effect when you're all done with it. Okay, I've done about 3 rows of the moss stitch so you can see, and it is so much prettier in person. I've done most of my baby blankets that I've given away as gifts out of this stitch. It just has a slightly raised row and then the stitch next to it is a single crochet. So I'll show you how to do that. You start with a double crochet after you've skipped a stitch. Skip this one, yarn over, and you do a double crochet, and into that very same stitch you're going to take a single crochet. So you have a double and a single in the same stitch. You skip a stitch and then you do it again. A double crochet and a single crochet in the same stitch. And at the end you're going to want to take just a double crochet so that you keep your edge nice and square, because if not your edge will be all over the place. Okay, so chain 1 when you're turning to work, yarn over, skip this first stitch right next to your hook and go into this stitch right here and do a double crochet. And into the very same stitch take a single crochet, yarn over, skip this stitch right here and go into the middle of your previous row's single and double stitch. You're just going right into the middle of those stitches of the previous row. So it's a double and a single, yarn over, skip this stitch, yarn over, double and a single. And then that's what makes such a beautiful raised pattern over the blanket. And this is the easiest stitch that I've found to do a blanket out of, because there's no counting really, and it's just really a pretty stitch. Okay, when I come back I'm going to show you how to do another stitch. Alright, this last stitch I'm going to show you is good for edging any kind of project. I use it on a lot of my projects, and I use it in hats as well, or the edges of blankets. It's just a little stitch that you can weave a ribbon through. Okay, so you start with a double crochet, yarn over, skip a stitch so that you have a hole there, and then you chain 1, yarn over, skip a stitch and go into this stitch right here, and then make a double crochet. Show you again, chain 1, yarn over and do a double crochet, and then when you're turning your work, remember to do a chain as high as your next row stitches are going to be. So if you're going to do a row of single crochet, you'll chain 1. If you're doing a double or treble crochet, you'll chain 2. And since we are doing a box stitch, it's going to look like a box, we have to chain 1 more time, because we have to do this stitch that's going over the top, because this is the side of the stitch right here. So chain 1 more, turn your work, yarn over, and you're going to put it into the post of the previous stitch. And that's where you take your double crochet. See, and then it makes that box right there. Okay, so chain 1, yarn over, go into the post or the double crochet of your previous row, and that's where you take your double crochet. And then when you are ready to put your ribbon in, you get this this little 1/4 inch ribbon works so well for this. And you can just buy these whole rows at like Joann's or Michael's, and it's like 10 yards for $1. And then it just weaves in and out. And so you don't cut off a length, you just weave out the whole thing first, and then you cut it off after you have it all weaved through. And then when you're ready to make an end, this end frays really bad, so you're going to want to turn it under twice, like that. Make a little roll, and then that's how you tack it. And then this side you would roll once or twice as well, and you put it together, and you'd sew it by hand like that, so then it doesn't fray. You'd put 3 or 4 or 5 stitches right there of a light purple yarn or whatever, not yarn but thread of whatever color you used. And I love that stitch. I use that on a lot of my blankets and other things. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, and subscribe to my channel for lots of other fun projects, and I'll see you soon. Bye.